What's up everybody, it's the Chicken, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you the complete beginner's guide to growing your garden successfully, so that way you can get fresh vegetables out of your garden every day. Let's begin without further ado. So in this first part of the video, I'm going to be showing you how you can plan for your garden. I know, it sounds hard, but trust me, it really isn't.
Are you sure about that?
So here's how to do it. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to be breaking this down to multiple different phases, so that way it's way more organized. So part 1, planning out what plants you will plant, obviously. So, what plants you will plant in your garden will be a very important factor into your garden. But, I'll talk about that later. So basically, you want to select the plants that you're going to be growing at the end of the year. So basically, like, you know, it's like the end of 2022, you're going to start the season 2023, so select them at the end of 2022. Since most people's growing season starts in late May, gardening, my god. So select the plants that you're going to be. So select these plants now, or whenever the hell you're watching this. So that way you have some prior knowledge. What you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to do some research on these plants and take some notes. A little copy and pasting won't hurt anyone really. Also, you can copy down website URLs, so that way you have a source to look back at later. So that way if like last second stuff happens, you have a source to refer back to. Now that that's all the way, let's begin phase 2, getting everything you'll need to start these plants. So if you're growing anything that'll grow diagonally, then a trellis is a must. Basically, if you're growing green beans, cucumbers, and summer squash, and any other type of plant that will grow diagonally, then you will need a trellis. Another thing I would recommend is weed stopper, or whatever the hell it's called. It works a good charm, and I would recommend it for you. Just remember these two things. You can either burn holes or cut holes into the protector. Burning holes is highly recommended. But if you have the sanity, somehow you can cut holes into these protectors, so that way you can plant your plants. Just remember to make sure each of them are spaced as to where you're going to be planting them. Also, while you're doing this, I might also recommend you make like plans for like what you're going to be growing in your garden and where that's all going to grow, so that way you can know where to cut the holes and how far apart you should be planting each of them. Now, unfortunately, my GoPro died, so I was going to be filming this part of the video outside anyway, so unfortunately, it'll be a little bit more rough when you watch this. Hopefully, it won't impact you that much. But now it's actually time to get your seeds started. So I'd recommend starting this, like, if your gardening season begins sometime in, like around, like, Memorial Day weekend, like over here in 6A it does. That's basically anywhere from 6A to, like, 8A, like, you should be planting them around, like, Memorial Day weekend. But if your growing season starts then, now is the time to actually, like, get, like, the seeds kick-started. I recommend planting them probably in, like, I want to say, like, sometime in, like, early March and late February. Those are the months I'd recommend you plant them in, but you can always plant them earlier or later. Just remember that if you want like a good season, some of these plants will die off as soon as you plant them outside. Like when you plant like the like you get like 3 harvests from the green beans before they die. We already got our first 3, so we had to replant some of them over here. The next 3, well, you know, those 3 just like died quick. The next 3 are over here. The first 3, we got a nice harvest out of them. So make sure that, like, you know, like, some of these plants are going to have to plant more than once, but it'll work out in the end. Now that that's all done, and now you can put them outside, here is how to do that. So this is the way I do it. You can come up with your own unique way of doing it, but this is how I do it. So basically, we have this giant bucket of fertilizer. I forgot how to make it, so I guess I'll make it into a different video, but I'll show you that video that was filmed on May 30th. And it'll be linked in the description below if you want to check it out. That video will completely just be talking about that stuff. So you know what, we're going to be talking about it right now. So, guess what? So, it's time for transplanting. So what you're going to want to do is you want to take the pot that your plant is in, you're going to squeeze it this way. You want to squeeze it one way, squeeze it the other way, tip it upside down, and then take the plant out. Put it in there for 2 to 4, put in the fertilizer and soak it there for 2 to 4 minutes. Now get like your area, now like dig like the hole that your plant's going to be in, preferably like 2 to 4 inches into the ground. Then you're going to want to stick the plant, and it's like square thing, it's like square soil along with the roots in there. Then seal it off, and congratulations, you've successfully transplanted your plants. Now, one thing I might recommend is sowing them outside. So basically, that's what we do every year. Like usually, like around May 15th, we move them to like a greenhouse outside. So that way they get like daylight a little bit. So that way they get like the feeling of the outside before we actually move them from there out here. It's an easier way to just get like a kickstart on the season, and it's super easy to do. Now it's harvesting time. Usually you'll get your first big harvest sometime in like July. But you know, July and August and even into early September will be a really hyperactive months with harvesting. So I'd recommend a giant bucket and like some stuff. So now here's how to check for like stuff that's ready to harvest. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at like pictures of them and print them out. And then you're going to want to always be carrying this paper on you. I've never done this, but this is a cool thing I think we're going to be doing this year, and it'll definitely help me whenever I do my garden harvest. Print out the paper and look at them, and then compare it to your plants. If your pepper plant's in full color, harvest it. If like your pumpkin or gourd is like, it's like your gourd, I think it's like you have a part of it, it's colored, you cut that off. Pumpkin is fully colored, you cut that off. Zucchini, that's like 6 to 9 inches, you cut that off. Yeah, it's all based on like averages that you can like do this garden harvest, and then you're going to want to put them in this giant like container, and then you're going to bring them inside. Now what are you going to do with these plants that you just collected from outside? Like imagine like you're just going to have 500 pounds of vegetables just piling up in your fridge. This is where farm stand or wherever, or just like giving these like local stores comes in. So yeah, this is like a great way to make extra money. It's probably not going to make you a terrible amount of money, but it'll definitely make you a little bit of money if you will. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a great way of just like garden harvesting. So that way like you can like sell them at like a farm stand. I already have a whole video about that, and I have a whole video coming out in a couple of days about best sellers. So yeah, that is definitely going to be something you can subscribe and look out for. So yeah, that's basically what you do when you just have a bunch of vegetables piling up. Not all of them will hit the market the way others will, but that's just my personal experience with them. Now, September and October. Preferably sometime in like the middle of the month. This is usually sometime in the middle of the month. I don't know why I just said preferably, but usually like in the middle of the month, you'll notice that like your plants will start to die. If you have chickens, this is your time to jump in on the action. So first of all, you're going to need to make sure all the plants that could be possibly poisonous to them are ripped out. And then if you have plants like basil in the garden, like this right here, then you're going to want to like, I don't know, like take the rest of the leaves in and then let the chicken just take the rest of it. Poisonous plants like tomatoes and peppers should be removed. As for green beans, these are a little different. These things like green beans, what they'll do is like, you know, like you can have like the chickens can have the green bean plants, but the thing about the green bean, my God, I can't talk. But the thing about the green bean plants is like, you know, like what will happen is like you can't, like the chickens can't have like undercooked or just like raw green beans, but they can have the plants. You can leave that in there. Check if you like want to do that with your chickens, or you can just rip the whole thing out. It doesn't take too long, but if you have like multi-annual or whatever the hell that's called plants, then you're going to box that off. So that way anything that tries to get in there will fail to do so. And yeah, those are just a couple of tips and tricks that will hopefully help you about your gardening journey. This video took me a couple hours to make, so please consider subscribing. I feel like I'm working way too hard for like 100 views.